at some of these problems here.
Sure.
I'm guessing this top left one is the first one. Is that correct?
Actually the second one, because he told us not to fill out the top yet. He said we'll be doing that in class later.
Okay.
Um,
I got 3 attachments, but these two look the same, if you'll notice.
that is weird. Then actually let's try the first one.
Are there supposed to be 3 or just 2?
I think just 2, so let's try the first one actually.
All right, let's have a look at this one here.
Okay, cool. But it was crazy yesterday. We faced Pine Creek, their varsity team, and their pitcher was throwing 93 miles an hour.
Holy smokes!
Uh-huh.
So what is that like? I mean, do you ever get to experience that, even with a batting cage?
Never. I mean,
what's the
we've
top
never.
Speed? What's the top speed at a batting cage?
80 is the top speed.
Wow. So,
So it's 13.
Must have been a blur.
It kind of was. Like, I got a hit off of, like, a line drive single off of him, but I mean, it was,
it's hard
the ball just...
Yeah, it's hard to pick it up on TV, but they say you pretty much have to decide when to swing about, a third of the way that the ball has made it to the plate. So
right. It's crazy. Wow. Yeah.
Well, hopefully he was not a right-handed pitcher.
Yeah. He was a right-handed pitcher too.
He was. And you're a right-handed hitter, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, so it was pretty tough.
And you still got a hit off of him. Good.
Yeah, I made contact off of him. It was just, man, it came in fast. Yeah.
Well, it's like Ted Williams said. It's all about hand-eye coordination and vision.
Exactly.
The greatest skill that a hitter can have is great vision.
Exactly. Yeah.
What he's always said. But
yeah. Exactly. And then the same pitcher that was throwing that hard goes up to the plate and hits like a 400-foot home run over the left field fence. I mean, talk about a stud, right?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Of course, you get that a lot, and I'm always kind of amazed. In fact, most of the pitchers in the major leagues were great hitters in high school.
Right.
I mean, they had, those 500 batting averages.
It's incredible.
And then for some reason, and I've never quite understood this, but they totally de-emphasize batting when you get to the major leagues. And so all of the pitchers who are great pitchers lose their batting ability.
Right.
Because they don't practice it. And I guess the thinking is that, they're better off practicing their pitching.
Instead of hitting. I mean,
because they only get to hit 1 out of every 4 or 5 days. So they're much better off practicing their or their pitching, and then that results in them being kind of crappy hitters.
Exactly.
But you would think that somewhere along the line somebody would come along that didn't lose their batting ability.
Right.
But it doesn't happen very often.
It really doesn't, no. And I mean, if I was in the MLB, I mean, I'd want to be a good batter too if I was a pitcher.
Yeah, but there's only so many hours of the day, and you have to choose what to practice. It's a little like golf. You can either practice your driving, or your putting, or your chipping, or your irons, or your woods off the fairway, and you kind of have to make a choice. And there's only 24 hours of the day, and you're only awake about 15 of them, so you kind of have to prioritize. And I think that's what happens, is the pitchers just, the total emphasis goes on the pitching, and they lose their batting ability. I don't know.
Right.
All right, cool. Back to math here.
Sounds good.
Looking at this top problem, it looks like
It's
Hold on.
y equals 2x minus 1. I'm sorry about the
That's okay.
kind of
I'm
blurry, or
I'm
plus 1.
using a different drawing program, so
No.
I'm a little. It's minus 2x.
It is plus 1. Yeah.
What format is that?
That is slope-intercept.
Good. That's y
Cool.
equal mx plus b.
Cool.
What's the slope?
And then the slope would be -2.
What's the y-intercept?
Plus 1.
Second one. Well,
Alright.
I don't think we're going to need to. What's the second one say?
It's y plus 2 is equal to 4/3 x minus 2. Or just 4/3 x. I moved the 2 over.
Okay. So that's the original equation?
Yeah.
Okay. So after you move the 2 over, you had this. What's the slope?
4/3, and then the y-intercept is -2.
And if I were to try to graph it all on my own, where would I start?
On -2, and then you would go up 4 and then 3 to the right.
Okay.
Cool.
It looks like you're pretty good on this stuff. Is there a spot you want to start? I mean, we do only have a half hour, so we have
Right.
like 20 minutes. Depends on how much of the stuff you need to cover. Is there any of it that, I see you've done a lot of it, which is
Yeah.
the best way to do it.
I
Is
was kind
try
of
to
confused.
get through it on your own, and where you have problems, those are the problems you want to bring to me.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of stuck on numbers 7, 8, and 9. Those were the only 3 that I had a little trouble with.
All right, let's look at 7, 8, and 9. Just a second.
Okay. Cool.
So 7, they give you in y or
Equals 2x plus.
slope-intercept, yeah.
Yeah.
I want you to come up with a point-slope format. This is kind of an interesting question.
Yeah. I was a little confused on how to do it. Would it just be y minus 5 equals 2x?
Well, it's a good question. I'm not sure I've ever done a problem like this.
Me neither, yeah.
Yeah, let's first of all graph it. Maybe that can shed some light.
Yeah.
So if somebody said you have to get this or you die, in other words, if they said you make your life on it,
Right, that wouldn't be good, huh?
well, it actually would be good because I can figure out 2 points on this graph, right?
Yeah.
Once I figure out 2 points, I know I can put it in point slope format,
Okay.
right? And in fact, all I need is 1 point. I don't need a second point. What's
Okay.
1 point?
Plus 5.
What's this point?
Oh, that one is,
This point right here that I have.
2/1.
What's the x and y coordinates of that point?
Oh, 0, 5. I'm sorry, yeah.
All right.
0, 5.
No problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we have a slope
Uh-huh.
and a point.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the point slope format for that?
So it would be y minus y1 is equal to
Y minus what?
y1.
Which is?
Oh, so in this one it would be y minus 5 is equal to, let me write this down, is equal to m,
Which is?
and then parentheses, 2. And then it would be x minus x1, so 0, x minus 0.
So there's the point slope.
Cool.
Now, would have been a lot easier to just subtract 5 from both sides.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't think that that's always going to work.
Okay.
It might. Like I said, I've never seen a problem quite like that.
Right.
The best way to do it is
we know
the slope and we know a point. That has to be 0, 5.
Right.
So once you know a point and a slope, that's why they call it point slope format.
Okay.
Okay?
Cool.
Yeah, I can blow this up a little bit.
Okay.
So 8.
Yeah.
So here's the line they give you. 1/2 x.
Minus 1/2 x. Yeah.
Okay, minus 1/2 x plus 6.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
I want you to write an equation that goes through the following points and is perpendicular to this line.
Yeah.
So what's the first thing we need to figure out?
So the first thing we need to figure out is the line that passes through those points, 1, -1.
Slope. The answer to that question is always slope.
Okay.
Okay? For the whole year of algebra, when I say what's the first thing we need to figure out, the answer is slope.
Okay.
You just cannot believe how important slope is in mathematics, whether it's Algebra 2, precalculus, college algebra, trigonometry, or calculus. Slope is an unbelievably important thing.
Okay.
Okay? So, what's the slope of the line that we're trying to figure out?
-1/2.
Well, that's the slope of the line that they gave us. What's the slope of the perpendicular line?
It would be 2, right?
Okay. And it goes through that point. So give me an equation of that line.
Okay, so it would be,
the simplest way is to use the point slope, because that's what we have, is a slope and a point. In other words, you can get the answer in one step.
Okay. So we could do, well, we just like plug in the 2 points into the equation.
What's the general format for point slope?
Y minus y1 is equal to m parentheses x minus x1.
Use that.
Okay, so it'd be y minus y minus 1 minus y minus
-1.
Right.
Equals
is equal to m, which is 2. And then in the parentheses it would be x minus x1. So that would be x minus 1.
Okay. Now simplify that. In other words, we never want to give an answer like this when you have two negative signs next to one another like that. You would lose points if you gave this as the answer.
Okay. So the final equation would be y plus 1 is equal to 2x minus 2.
Actually, the question says write an equation in point slope form. So I think what that means is leave it like that.
Okay.
Okay? In other words, you distributed the 2, but you don't have to.
Okay.
You understand that most of your Algebra 1 career was slope-intercept, y = mx plus b. So
Right.
I understand why you have a tendency to want to put everything into y equal mx plus b. But
Yeah.
notice that that's point slope format right there. That's
Hmm.
y minus y sub 1 equals slope times x minus x sub 1.
Okay.
So that's actually the proper point slope format. Now,
Hmm.
whether you would lose points or not if you distributed that, I don't know. But you would definitely lose points if you distributed it all the way, which is to say,
Slope-intercept form.
yeah, that's slope-intercept form there.
Okay.
The same equation, understand.
Uh-huh. Right.
The two equations are identical. It's just that one has been manipulated into slope-intercept format, and the
Hmm.
other is in point-slope format. And
Okay.
what you originally gave me was kind of a hybrid of both.
Right.
In other words, you distributed the two, which
Okay.
I don't blame you, but it's just something you probably don't want to do.
Okay. Definitely. And number 9.
Now,
Right.
okay. Write an equation in point-slope form for the graph at the right.
Yeah.
Well, what do we need?
So we need an equation.
What's the first thing we need?
Points.
Slope.
Or slopes.
Remember, the answer to that
Oh,
question is always slope.
I'll get that embedded into my
That's
head.
okay. You were actually right. The first
Yeah.
thing we need is points because we can't figure out slope until we have 2 points. Well,
Okay.
what are my 2 points?
So we could just pick 2 points that are on the -1,
Notice
negative
that
1, 6.
whenever you're reading from a grid,
Mm-hmm.
make sure that the 2 points you pick are on the corner of one of the grids, not in the
Right.
middle.
Yeah.
Because if it's
Yeah.
in the middle, you really can't read it accurately.
No.
So 2 good points would be the y-intercept and the x-intercept. I believe both of them are on the corners of that grid.
The y-intercept isn't.
It's not?
No.
Okay.
It's just below it. I picked -1, 6 is right on the
Okay. So
line.
it doesn't matter. Any 2 points work.
Right.
Question is
And
getting the accuracy.
okay.
What's another one that you picked?
Oh, let me see.
Yeah, I can't see it at this scale, so.
Okay, I got -5, 3 too.
Okay, what next? What's the equation in point slope format?
It would be y minus
What's the first thing we need?
um the slope.
What is it?
And the slope would be, hold on, -3, -4,
Which is?
-3/4.
Always,
Um,
always simplify that 100% of the time.
okay.
What's -3 divided by -4?
Um, just 3/4. Okay.
Yeah. In other words, you don't ever leave the negative signs all, if they're on top and bottom, you always convert it to a positive.
Okay.
Okay, so what's the equation? Which point are you going to pick?
We could pick the point -1, 6, I think would be easier.
Doesn't matter, really. They're both
Yeah.
about the same. So what's the
Okay.
equation of the line?
So we could do y minus 3.
If you're going to pick this point, use that point.
Did I just, oh, my bad, yeah. Y minus 6
Okay?
is equal to 3/4, and then x minus 1, x minus minus 1,
Which is?
x plus 1.
There's your equation. There's your answer.
Okay.
That is in point slope format. I don't want to distribute this 3/4. I don't want to put it in slope-intercept format. I want to leave it in point-slope format.
Okay.
And you'll notice that it was just a single-step process. Once we had slope, in other words, the first step is always to figure out slope. Once you have slope, then it's just plugging it into the point-slope format.
Okay. Cool. And then I just had a question on the first page, number 2.
Okay.
That was the only one that on that page I didn't really understand.
There's two slopes that are strange.
Okay.
One is the horizontal slope. What's that slope?
Y equals 0.
M equals 0. The slope is 0.
Okay.
M is the slope. Okay?
Okay.
The other thing that's strange is a vertical line. What's the slope on a vertical line?
M equals 0 as well.
No.
Or undefined. It's undefined.
Everybody makes that mistake. And that's actually a pretty big mistake. There are no two numbers more different than one another than 0 and undefined.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. If I say 0 divided by 3, that's equal to 0.
Okay.
But if I say 3 divided by 0, that's actually equal to infinity.
Okay.
And that's what they call undefined.
Okay.
They don't like to use the word infinity yet. They will.
Okay.
Next year you'll be getting the word infinity instead of undefined. Okay?
Okay.
But notice that if I draw a number line, there's 0.
Right.
Infinity is in that direction somewhere. As far away from 0 as you can possibly get.
Right.
Okay? And let's look at that as to why that's true. Let's take 1 divided by 3. What's that equal to?
3 divided by 1 is 3.
Excuse me. Yeah. What's
No,
3 divided by 0.1?
3.1.
30.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. I remember that.
3 divided by 0.01.
That would just be 3.0. Or just 3.
300.
No? 300.
There's a method to my madness here.
Yeah, and then 0.001.
As the denominator gets smaller, what's happening to the product or to the result?
It gets bigger.
That's 3,000.
Right.
What do you suppose 3 divided by 0.000000001 would be?
Like 3.
It's like 3 times 10 to the 8th, right?
Right.
So as the denominator gets closer and closer to 0, the quotient gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's not anywhere near 0. And a very, very important math concept here is that when you divide numbers by very, very, very tiny numbers, the result is a huge number.
Right.
So when I divide 3 by 0, what I really have is infinity.
Okay.
Okay? And that's what they call undefined. And when I'm looking at a vertical slope like that, well, the rise is this amount. We'll call that goes from 2 to 5. We'll call that 3.
Yeah.
And the run is this amount. That's 0.
Okay.
That's what the run is, right?
Right.
In other words, there is no run. Well, 3 divided by 0 is infinity. In other words, the slope of that vertical line is infinite. And let's just talk about that for a second.
Okay.
I have a slope of 1. That's what that is.
Okay.
If I have a slope of 1/2, that's about what that is. That means I got to go up 1 and over 2. So the flatter the line, the slope is closer. In other words, it's between 1 and 0. Okay? But the steeper the line, in other words, if I draw a slope like that, that's maybe m of 3. This is m of 1. This is m of 1/2. And notice the steeper I go, that's m of 8. I like these different colors. That's m of 20. In other words, as I get steeper and closer to this perpendicular or this vertical line, I'm getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the slope of a line that's nearly vertical, let's say this kind of a line, if that was a straight line, if I could draw a straight line, that slope might be like 1,000.
Right.
And totally vertical is infinity. So it has to get up pretty quickly. You know what I'm saying? In other words, you don't get to infinity quickly. You get there slowly. So anything that is very, very steep, you know, is going to be a very large number in terms of slope.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Well, I don't know if we covered all the problems that we're having, but you seem to be in pretty good shape with your algebra.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I understand this pretty well.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably going to do better with algebra than geometry, and I say that to all of my geometry students. I have a ton of geometry students from last year, and I expect all of them to be Algebra 2 students this year, and I expect they will all have easier times.
For sure, yeah.
Just because Algebra 2 is a lot like Algebra 1. Not a lot of difference. It's just a little more complicated, gets a little harder, and just like Algebra 3 or college algebra is just a little harder still. It would be hard for me to figure out where to draw the line between any of them.
Right.
Okay? So as long as your algebra skills are good, you'll be just fine.
Okay, cool.
Okay? All right, Dylan.
Awesome.
See, we have a half hour scheduled on Wednesday. I'll talk to you then.
That sounds good. I'll see you then.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, thanks for scouting. Bye.